Live from Columbia, South Carolina, WIS News 10 starts with First Alert Weather.
Welcome in, everyone. So glad to have you with us on our WIS digital platforms. We'll be on WIS TV live at 6 o'clock, working to keep you up to date around the clock on whatever Tropical Storm Debby brings our way in the Midlands to keep you and your family safe.
Yeah, we have seen a lot of rain today. The rain piling up here in the Midlands and in points to the east. We have crews spread out all throughout the area. We have Ashley Jones, who's live at a shelter in Orangeburg County. We also have our Nick Neville, who's down in the low country as well. And we have crews fanned out throughout the area to give you complete coverage as this tropical storm continues to bear down on the Midlands. But for now, we got to get a look at that forecast because, again, the rain continues to fall here at a pretty heavy clip in the Midlands. Let's get over to meteorologist Von Gaskin with the latest. Hey, Von.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Debby is still a tropical storm. I mean, it's holding on to this status. Right now, the winds are at 40 miles per hour. It's moving to the east-northeast at a snail's pace. Now it's down to just 3 miles per hour. At the fastest, it was only moving at about 6 just after landfall. The tropical storm is expected to move offshore. That's back onto the open waters, slide right along that coastline, and then re-emerge, move back onshore for a second landfall in South Carolina, somewhere between Charleston and probably somewhere between Georgetown County. So another landfall expected, moving back onshore, but still remaining a tropical storm when it does that. Expected to live to the north, and then it will be moving away. That won't be until Thursday. So between now and then, we are going to have to continuously deal with the same type of weather that's in place now, and at times it may get worse than it is right now. Let's take a look at the first alert radar. We have all beams going, showing you what's going on. The heaviest rain right now is in place over Sumter, Eastover, and this is an area that's now starting to move into the city of Columbia and Lexington. That's the reason we just got a brand new flash flood warning. That means it's happening now. That means rain is falling at 1 to 3 inches within this time frame, and that is going to lead to flash flooding. That will stay in place until 6:45 for us right over Columbia and Lexington. Yes, that does include areas near Pillion and the northern reaches of Calhoun County as well. That's the one until 6:45. And then we have one until 5:30. This one for parts of Manning, Tuberville, Sumter, and Bishopville in a cluster there. And that's also including Eastover and areas right near the Congaree National Park. That stays with us until 5:30. So we do have a couple of different areas going on. And of course, with all that being said, our flood watch is in place until Thursday at 8. So we've got a lot going on. Debby continues to move at a snail's pace. Because it's moving so slow, flooding is our #1 concern. But once we get all that rain on the ground, we're then concerned about those winds blowing that could topple trees that have been sitting in that standing water. So as we look at where the winds are now, we're looking at winds of 22 miles per hour in Sumter, 24 in St. Matthews, 19 in Columbia, 17 in Lexington. And then the gusts are, of course, a little bit higher. And so those gusts are up to about 25 miles per hour now in Lexington, 21 St. Matthews, and 26 in and around Sumter. So, of course, there are several hazards that we have to break down and talk to you about. So for the next part of this story, we're going to talk to Chief Meteorologist Adam Clark, and he is going to break down what's next while we're tracking Debby.
All right, thank you very much, Vaughn. Yeah, we've got heavy rain and gusty winds in the Midlands this evening and tonight. A lull in the rain Wednesday morning and early afternoon, meaning it gets a little more quiet. We still have clouds and a few showers, but it doesn't look too terribly bad throughout Wednesday morning. But then it starts to pick up Wednesday evening, and then it lasts into our Thursday. Thursday, early morning, I'm most concerned about tornadic activity for our Thursday early morning hours, Wednesday night into Thursday morning. So know that as well. So we have 3 first alert weather days. One for today, heavy rain and some wind, gusting up to around 30 miles per hour to 35. And then Wednesday, showers and breezy. And then Wednesday night, it starts to pick up again. Into Thursday, strong winds, tornadoes are a possibility for your Thursday, and also more heavy rain. So we've had, as Vaughn just mentioned, several flash flood warnings. This one till 5:30, this one till 6:45. for the city of Columbia and also Lexington as well. And we have all these flash flood warnings down to the south and a tropical storm warning as well down to the south and the east on Myrtle Beach. Now, as we take a look at the system itself, the eye of the tropical storm is right around Tybee Island. It's slowly moving over to the east, and what's happening is all this moisture is just being brought in. Now, with a tropical shower, the droplets aren't quite as large as what you get with a thunderstorm. So the rain seems lighter, but it's just going to stay with us throughout the night and into tomorrow. So our risks are low for tornadoes tonight, but it's still there. We have strong winds, that's elevated. River flooding, that won't be really until this weekend. We'll around Friday and into Saturday as all of this moisture kind of goes downstream. And then flooding, that's our high risk for tonight, tomorrow even, as we head especially into Thursday. So the track of Debby, and right now 40-mile-per-hour winds. This is the 5 o'clock update, so this is brand new information. 999 is our pressure. It really hasn't changed. It was 999 in the last update, and we're expecting it to move over to the east at Wednesday at 2 o'clock, 50-mile-per-hour winds. And then as we head towards Thursday, it starts to curve back up to the north, and it really starts to speed up. So it's going to stick with us for quite some time in the next couple of hours and into the next couple of days, really. And our tropical storm winds, we're looking at a 90% chance of seeing those tropical storm winds, and it includes portions of Orangeburg County, Clarendon County. This is a 90% shot for your Wednesday, and then as we head towards Thursday, that's when we get our wind from the system as it moves to the north there. The track kind of pushes through the PD area, and it could be anywhere within that cone I just showed you too. So if it tracks a little bit farther to the west, we see more winds. So as far as the excessive rainfall risk for your Wednesday, you can see it's mainly in the PD around Charleston and Myrtle Beach, but it does include Clarendon County, eastern sections of Sumter County, and also Lee County, and it's a moderate risk for Orangeburg, St. Matthews, Sumter, Bishopville, and just south of Camden. Here in Columbia, it's a slight risk of excessive rainfall for your Wednesday. So we'll kind of zoom in. Newberry and Saluda, even less, marginal risk. That's level 1. So Futurecast is showing the heavier downpours still around 7 o'clock. We get a bit of a break. This is that lull I was talking about. It starts to quiet down a bit. And then as we head into the afternoon Wednesday, we're watching over to our east. Some showers, some storms. The center of the low is starting to make its way inland. Here it is at 7 o'clock in the evening, at 10 o'clock, and then around 1 in the morning. We have gusts up to 40, 38, 33, even 39 at 1 in the morning there. And as we head towards 3 in the morning, it's looking like Thursday morning could be our strongest of this system as it pivots over the region. Now you can kind of see the center of the low right around Sumter. So Sumter seeing this low, and then it starts to move up to the north. Now Thursday afternoon, we have more rain falling in our region, and it continues out of here by Friday morning. So here's the European model and how much additional rain it's showing, around 3.3 inches here in Columbia, 5.5 in Sumter, 3.9 in Bishopville, 3.6. So far, we've had about 1 to 2 inches of rain thus far at our sensors that we've been monitoring, and we're just going to add to that. Long-range Futurecast, this is that European model showing it pulling out to over the ocean, strengthening a little bit Wednesday, and then coming back for Thursday. So it goes over the ocean, strengthens a little bit, and then it heads back to the west and gives us another round for our Thursday. So that's the big concern for Thursday. And then by Friday, we have drier air finally moving into the region. So Wednesday and Thursday, 100% chance of rain, of course, in the first alert weather day for each day as we're dealing with Tropical Storm Debby. Then as we head into Friday morning, some showers in the morning. Then Saturday and Sunday, drier conditions, low 90s to upper 80s for Saturday and Sunday, and upper 80s Monday and Tuesday. Judy and Greg.
All right, Adam, thank you very much. Our Ashley Jones is live at a shelter this evening in Orangeburg County.
That's right. And Ashley, what's the scene like there? How many people are coming out to seek shelter at this time, and what sort of accommodations do they have available?
Well, right now we are live in downtown Orangeburg, just here off of Broughton Street at the city's new gym, which has temporarily been made into a shelter for people who may not have some place to go for the duration of the storm, or if you find yourself without power during the storm, you can come out here to the shelter. Again, this is in downtown Orangeburg, just off of Broughton Street. Now, if you do find yourself needing to come out here to the shelter, but you may be without transportation, there is assistance that's being offered by the Cope Area Career Center. Members of the Cope Area Career Center are going out to different areas throughout Orangeburg offering rides to the shelter. So if you find yourself in need of transportation to get out here, just call that number. It's going to come up on your screen in just a moment. It's 803-596-0025. So if you need a ride here to the shelter, call that number. Someone will come out there and get you. Now, I do want to let you know, if you are coming out here to the shelter, there is a limit of how many people that can come here that this gym will allow inside. 100 people are allowed inside the gym at a time. So right now there are about 3 people here, not too many people obviously. So if you do need to come out here, go ahead and make arrangements to do that. We're hearing that if you do need to come to the shelter, there are several things that you may want to go ahead and bring with you. That includes medications, any documents, any important documents that you may have, your ID, things of that nature. There is food here, but if you have any special dietary needs or anything like that, you may want to go ahead and bring your own food. They have blankets here, so but if you want to get a little bit more comfortable, go ahead and bring your own blankets, bring pillows, things of that nature. We hear that there is a women's and a men's bathroom. Both bathrooms have showers in them, but you have to bring your own toiletries like soap, things of that nature as well. So we want to talk about some of the things that we have seen out here as far as the roadways here in Orangeburg. Go ahead and take a look at the road right now. This has kind of been the theme we've been seeing out in Orangeburg. Not too much water on the roadways right now, but as you can see, it's still, you want to be careful if you are driving. Now, we've been told, I was in contact with the county administrator, Harold Young, just a few minutes ago, and he advised me that he's telling people to stay off the roads. Unless you just have to be out for some sort of emergency, you do want to go ahead and just stay inside. Don't come out unless you have to be out, basically, is the name of the game right now. But we have noticed, as you can see, that people still are out on the roadways. So if you are out driving, just try and drive slower, not drive as fast as you would normally do. But we also want to kind of talk about, too, what we've been seeing as far as just out in people's front yards. We've noticed some standing water out in front yards and things of that nature headed towards Bowman. We're going to head down to that area as well. But we just wanted to keep you updated, give you this important information. Go ahead and download our WIS News app. You'll find all of that information that I just told you about. If you are looking to come out here to a shelter, you can find all that information, things that you need and what you need to do on our WIS News app and on, of course, online at WISTV.com. But for now, reporting live here in downtown Orangeburg, I'm Ashley Jones, WIS News 10.
Ashley, just encouragement, a reminder there for all of our crews to stay safe as they're moving out and about around the Midlands area, to give you a live look at the conditions there. And Greg, they're really, before we check in with our Naomi Pope, I just want to emphasize there are a few really important reasons why you should not wait until the last minute to go to a shelter. Number one, this storm is going to be sitting over South Carolina for the next day or two if you've been tracking our forecast. So road conditions are going to change a lot over the next few days. So you don't want to wait until we get the worst conditions before you try to make a move. Also, if you do wait, there may not be room at the shelter that is closest to you. So be mindful of your situation, have that go bag ready, and look for time before things get too worse to make that decision about whether you might need some assistance and whether a shelter might be a safer place to ride out the storm, especially if you're at risk of power outages or flooding. With that said, we want to turn now to Richland County. Some homeowners, Greg, I think back to 2015, just heartbreaking what so many people in our community dealt with. And they are frustrated because storm drains in their area have not been cleaned out, and they're worrying about having to deal with that same scenario all over again. Yeah, that is a big concern. They want to make sure that those storm drains are cleared so that the water just doesn't start to pile up there in that area. They say they haven't been cleaned in years, in fact, causing flooding in their backyards and road. And many are now concerned that the storm will affect the roads and the homes as well. Naomi Popa out live for us to give us an update on the progress of this situation. So Naomi, what does the situation look like there, and is there any danger of flooding because of these drains?
Judy, Greg, we're out here, like you mentioned. I want to take you back to 2 weeks ago when we came out to this property, specifically this road that you can see behind me. When we initially came out, the road was covered with water. I mean, a foot to a foot and a half in certain areas. Now you can see that the water levels are continuing to rise. Now, when we arrived, this area that I'm actually standing in right here, this didn't have any water on it at all. I mean, it was a dry pavement. Obviously, it was raining, but there was no flooding. Now, I want to talk a little bit about what this happened. A homeowner did call us mentioning that storm drains hadn't been cleaned in several years, causing lots of buildup. That means debris, twigs, trees, things of that nature, causing this water not to have a place to go. Now, SCDOT said they were going to come out and take care of this. Unfortunately, this is what we've been left with. Within a week, they came and cut overgrowth on the sides of the roads, but now 2 weeks since the incident and nothing has been done about the drains. So you can see there is some cut that has been done along the edges, but those storm drains still piling up with water. Now, this is causing frustration among these homeowners here ahead of the tropical storm. Now, the video that you can see playing on your screen now is flooding that occurred 2 weeks ago. So you can definitely see we drove through all of that water. That just gives you an idea of how bad this road got. However, make note that this area is sitting parallel with Gills Creek, making this area not only flood prone, but a flood plain. Now, I spoke with Bailey Slice Parker. She's the executive director of the Gills Creek Watershed Association. She spoke to me on how several homes in South Carolina will experience flooding depending upon where they are located. But Richland County does have resources available to help. Go ahead and take a look now.
Richland County actually has a map viewer, a GIS website, where you can zoom in on particular properties. You can click a layer that will show you the federally determined flood zones and floodplains, and see whether your house or a property that you might be interested in is actually in a floodplain.
Additionally, Parker says checking the water levels using an SGS gauge, which can be found on the Gills Creek website, will show you what water levels look like at a creek near your home and if those levels are rising. Obviously, something you should keep in mind if you're in a flood-prone area, making sure that those levels aren't rising, and if they are rising, how you can go ahead and prevent that and what you can do to help your property. Now, all of the homes here are raised up, but if you live in a home that isn't, flooding could happen if those creeks near your home are rising past levels that are unnatural. Now, we'll be sure to keep you updated if you are a homeowner living near these areas, specifically around creeks or in flood-prone areas. But for now, reporting in Richland County, I'm Naomi Popa, WIS News 10. Judy, Greg.
All right, Naomi, thank you so much for that update. We'll certainly check in with Ashley and Naomi throughout the evening. But Greg, we're expanding our coverage really statewide because we know so many people outside of the Midlands here in our immediate coverage area. You have family, you have friends along the coast, you travel there frequently, and we want to update people on those conditions as well. Yeah, that is the area right now, too, that is receiving the brunt of this storm at this time. A lot of heavy rainfall in that area. Some of these areas already seeing over a foot of rain, if you can believe that. Our Nick Neville in Beaufort with a look at some of the damage down there in the low country as the rain continues to fall. From Debbie.
We are here along First Coleman Road, which is a few miles east of Beaufort. This is the greatest extent of the damage that we've seen so far in Beaufort County, with downed trees and limbs all along this roadway. It's also impacting power lines. You can see right now the energy companies are working to address this. We've also seen some tree service companies here. Now, we did have an opportunity to speak with Donnie Slocum. He lives along this stretch of roadway at the end of the road here, and he says he has not seen damage like this since when he first moved to the area back with Hurricane Matthew in 2016. Now, he says all this happened right around 1 a.m. on Monday night when the power went out for about 3 minutes, and he got a chance to survey the damage this morning and was shocked at what he saw. Take a listen to his reaction.
Well, it's pretty terrifying to wake up in the morning and see actually what's happened in the middle of the night when you can't see stuff, you know, and it makes you wonder if you'd have been able to get out if it had been too severe. So it's kind of a little frightening in the beginning, but No property damage really as far as our homes and our vehicles, so we're pretty blessed and happy about the situation.
As you can see, continuing to look at some of the damage here in Beaufort County following the storm on Monday night. Strong winds and heavy rain combining to create this situation here along First Coleman Road. Now, Beaufort County also has 2 shelters that are open at this time, and officials say that those are going to continue to be operational throughout the duration of Tropical Storm Debby. For now, reporting in Beaufort County, I'm Nick Neville.
All right, Nick, thank you for that. Again, encouraging all of our crews to be safe as they travel to different parts of the state to stay ahead of the storm and make sure that we are working to keep you and your family safe. We want to also update you on the emergency briefing that state officials held today. Some parts of South Carolina are already experiencing what they are describing as life-threatening flash flooding. In fact, at the top of this newscast, you heard from Adam and Vaughn about a new flash flood warning that's covering now parts of Lexington and Richland County, in effect until 6:45 p.m. tonight. They say that we still don't know exactly what's to come from Debby. And Greg, we heard from a FEMA representative there who said that it was great from his perspective as an official who responds to these storms to come to South Carolina and see that our officials know what they're doing and that they're prepared to meet whatever Debby brings. Yeah, certainly it was all hands on deck yesterday when they had the emergency management briefing. All state agencies are participating and giving an update on the response from the state so far, and it pretty much touches all areas of state government when it comes to this. But really, when you're talking about flooding, the concern is, especially as the rain continues to fall, it's only a matter of time before that ground gets saturated. There's nowhere for that water to go, and that flooding happens quickly. Mary Green joining us with the latest from the state's Emergency Operations Center in Lexington County with the latest there.
Governor Henry McMaster and other state officials briefed the press and South Carolinians here earlier this afternoon. They say flooding remains the main concern in South Carolina, described as potentially catastrophic for some parts of the state. With that comes the strong word of caution to stay out of floodwaters. The Department of Environmental Services reminds people you don't know what's in these waters, with dangers ranging from snakes and other animals to harmful bacteria and chemicals. Around 50 state roads were closed as of earlier this afternoon because of flooding, along with 2 ramps on Interstate 95 in Jasper County, with those numbers likely to change as conditions change. Officials say they're concerned about rising river levels, particularly in the PD Basin and the entire coastal plain, which could experience moderate to major flooding.
This river flooding could last long term, cutting off access to some communities. I can't stress enough the need to avoid flooded roadways. Your life is not worth taking the risk.
And to this point, the governor has not issued any evacuation orders or state agency closures. He told me earlier this afternoon he does not anticipate that changing for now. Reporting Lexington County, I'm Mary Green.
Green. She'll be keeping us up to date on all of the news and information and the very latest details from the State Emergency Operations Center. That's where they're checking in with counties and emergency officials from all around the state to see if there are any needs that have not been met. We've got crews who have come in from Tennessee, Michigan, exactly, Alabama as well. 5 search and rescue teams from FEMA, all on standby, in position to respond as needed and as Debby continues to circulate over South Carolina and bring more rain to the area. So let's get an update now on that forecast as the rain continues to fall. Meteorologist Vaughn Gaskin has details. Vaughn, it's a situation that is kind of intermittent, and there's definitely times when the rain is heavy here in downtown Columbia.
And Greg, this is one of those times where you can kind of split the Midlands in half. Now, for areas like Orangeburg County, the rain was heavy and intense throughout the course of the night and the beginning of the day. Now that heaviest rain is starting to move into Columbia, Camden, Sumter, and starting to move closer to Newberry. But then areas like Orangeburg, which have been getting inundated with heavy rain for the past 24 hours, you're seeing a bit of a lull here with lighter spotty showers for Orangeburg, for Manning, and for Bamberg. So some of these communities in here, you're getting a bit of a lull. We're seeing a little bit of drier air kind of filtering in, and parts of the low country are able to enjoy a little bit of that as well. With all of that being said, those feeder bands are still coming in off of the ocean. Those are dropping heavy buckets and buckets of rain. With that being said, that 1 to 3 inch possibility of rain within the course of 1 to 3 hours, that gives us that flash flood warning, and that's why we have 2 in place right now. The one that's probably the oldest here from Clarendon, Kershaw, Lee, and Sumter counties, this one is until 5:30. So we still have that one in place. Let's see, we have a new update here. So that one until 6:30, the one that is the deepest color here from Manning over towards Bishopville and into Turbeville, that one in place for us until 6:30. And then the smaller box that's from Chapin, including Pillion and the city of Columbia, that one in place until 6:45. So we're still dropping buckets and buckets of rain because of Debby. The flash flood warnings continue to come in, and they're going to continue to kind of cycle through. So as soon as one expires, they're going to put another one in place more than likely, just to kind of keep that cycle going. The watch is in place, that flood watch, and that'll stay in place until Thursday at 8 o'clock. So we do have an extended period of this. Let's start talking a little bit about the winds now. That northeastern wind that's in place, that's continuing to give us those what we call feeder bands coming in off of the ocean. So that's giving us a wind now of 23 miles per hour in Camden, 18 in Columbia, 17 in Lexington, and the numbers are starting to add up for you over in Saluda and Newberry. You guys are really just getting deep into this, whereas other folks have been dealing with this for about 24 hours in areas like Orangeburg and Manning. So we're tracking a wind speed of 19 even up into Lancaster. We're also dealing with higher wind gusts as high as 25 miles per hour in Lexington, 21 in Columbia, and 24 in St. Matthews. Now let's talk a little bit about storm reports, some of the reports that we have had in place that have come in through the course of the day. We're going to break down a few of these for us. We did get a report out of Santee, and this did come in from Highway Patrol, and they were reporting flash flooding, and that was near Bradford Boulevard. There was a road washed out near Highway 6. Additionally, we got a call coming in from Brookdale. This is in Orangeburg County. Highway Patrol was reporting a tree that was down over Till Road, and that was near the intersection of Cameron Road due to, of course, the thunderstorm embedded in this tropical system. Right in the city of Orangeburg, there was a report that came in from social media about houses being flooded along an area near Waring Street. So we were watching that area. That happened about 3:20. So all of these are flash flood incidents that are causing major issues. For the past 24 hours, let's talk rain totals. About 1.5 inches in St. Matthews. The numbers are not coming up for everyone just because a lot of the reporting sites are down because of all the rain. And so with that being said, we did find some numbers online that we wanted to put in here, and Emily helped me put these in. So 5.06, one of the highest numbers we got, and that did come in from Cameron, South Carolina, which is in Orangeburg County. And then down in Williston, which is in Barnwell County, 4.91, so not too far from 5 inches for you, over 4 inches in Orangeburg. Now, the Orangeburg reporting site has been down for the last day or two, and so these are numbers that came in officially. So the reporting site is coming in at over 4 inches there, almost 4 inches for us in Santee, and then in Sumter, a little over 2 inches for you. So the numbers are certainly coming in. We are getting new flash flood warnings coming in, so this is going to be ongoing. Don't expect it to change anytime soon. We do have some updates that we want to get to about the forecast that's going to come into play, so we're going to send it over now to Chief Meteorologist Adam Clark, and he is going to give us some information about what's to come, and he is including that new flash flood warning in all of this.
Yes, I am, Vaughn. Yeah, I wanted to show you around Fairfield County. It's really right around this area right here, this brand new warning that we've got. This lasts until around 7:30 tonight. Flash flood warning for southern Fairfield County and central South Carolina, southwestern Kershaw County, and northern Richland County. They've already seen about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of rain so far, and we're expecting at least 1 to 2 more inches in the next couple of hours here. So that could definitely cause some flash flooding. So a big swath of our region under a flash flood warning, including Sumter, Bishopville, Manning is in on this, Lexington as well, Richland, and Columbia. All of Richland, most of Richland County is under some sort of flash flood warning, also up towards Winnsboro and also Camden and on this. I also wanted to look at traffic. You can see that we've got some ponding on the roadway currently in and around areas around Columbia. That blue color that you see there, that's ponding on the road. If we could, are we able to use green screen yet? But I would like to get out there so I can highlight some of this. Sumter, Eastover, just south of Columbia, you can see ponding on the road, and just down to the south here in and around Orangeburg and Orangeburg County around Lake Marion, we've got some flooding roadways. So what we'll do is put a query on that and tell you about each one of these. So this is US 301 John C. Calhoun Drive, flooding at the Sprinkle Avenue. And we also are looking at this one too, some ponding or flooding on the roadway. It looks like what I'll do here is I'll clear this off so I've got everything nice and clear for you. All right, and we'll bring it back up and we'll query that right here so you get the information. Bradford Boulevard, flooding from US 15 Old Number 6 Highway to John Lawson Avenue. That is flooded right now in Orangeburg County. So here's a close-up view of everything. It looks like traffic is okay in that region, so that's the good news there. Now up to the north and east, here's Malfunction Junction. We've got some very slow-moving traffic there. Looks like this is mile marker 106.5, and traffic's moving pretty smoothly with wet roadways out there. So as we take a look, we have heavy rain for today and through Thursday, dangerous downpours. Winds are going to gust up to 50 miles per hour. Flooding is likely, so that's why we have first alert weather days from today all the way till Thursday. Here's the latest track. So here it is around 5 o'clock. We have 40 mile per hour winds. It's moving east-northeast, really slow, at around 3 miles per hour. So here's the track right here. You can kind of see where it's been, and it's kind of just moving east-northeast now, and the pressures remain the same. So what we'll do is pop this up, and you can see right now it's 40, but by tonight and early morning tomorrow, it's up to 45, then 50 by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 60 miles per hour at 2 in the morning Thursday, 2 in the afternoon Thursday, 50 mile per hour winds. So it actually strengthens as it heads back over the ocean. We get a little bit of a quiet time tomorrow morning as it moves back out over the ocean, but then it comes right back in and it makes its way to the north. And Columbia is definitely within this cone as we head into the next couple of days here. Friday, it starts to become a tropical depression again and weaken a post-tropical storm as we head into the weekend there. So our risks are still there for tornadoes throughout Thursday, especially. Strong winds are a possibility. River flooding, moderate, and flooding is on the higher side. So throughout the night tonight, we have this high risk of excessive rainfall. That just means flash flooding has the best chance of seeing flash flooding within this pink that you see right here. And that includes all of Orangeburg County, most of Sumter and Calhoun County, and all of Clarendon County, and a good section of Lee County as well, pointing all the way over towards Myrtle Beach and Charleston. So here in Columbia, moderate risk for tonight and into the early morning hours, and it's a slight risk up to the north here around Saluda, Newberry, Winnsboro, Chester, and Lancaster counties there. So flood safety, we've had this mentioned a couple times. 6 inches can knock you off your feet. 12 inches, a foot, can float a car, and 8 to 24 inches can float a truck or SUV. So if the road says it's closed, if there's barricades, don't drive around it. I've seen so many pictures of the road just totally washed out underneath, and so that causes all sorts of problems. Just turn around and find an alternate route. Better yet, just stay put. That's the best thing to do. How much additional rain? The European model is bringing in about 3.3 more inches here in Columbia, 3.9 in Bishopville, 5.5 around Sumter, and about 3 inches in Manning. There's still a sharp cutoff That's usually the case with a tropical system. There's folks that just on the outside of a tropical system, the air sinks. And so you usually have a pretty nice day on the outskirts of it. I can tell you from experience living in Greenville during Hurricane Hugo, it was an okay day for us there, unfortunately for everybody else. But it was because of that subsidence that was around the storm. Now, we've got this northeast flow. You can see the rain here around 7 o'clock. By around 6 o'clock, here's where it gets a little more quiet. It's a little more quiet around 6 in the morning. Here it is at 10, partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies, not a lot happening. You're like, oh, we're out of the woods. We're not. This is just a long, drawn-out, boring storm, okay? It's not going to give you the big headlines of huge storm surges or anything like that. It's just mainly the rain and how long it's going to last. Here it is by Wednesday evening. It's starting to march to the west. You can see these downpours starting to move in, 36-mile-per-hour gusts, 37 in Bishopville, 30 around Chesterfield, over to the east, that heavy downpour in and around the PD. I'll get my head out of the way here so you can see the time, 7 o'clock. Here it is right around 10 o'clock, 40-mile-per-hour gusts, 36 in Camden, 43 around Manning, and 46-mile-per-hour gusts in and around Kingstree. So now the center of the storm is making its way closer to us. So, and that's going to give us the best chance of some storms and activity during Wednesday night, Thursday morning. So here it is Thursday at 1 in the morning. It's got most of the rain on the north side of it. So that's the good news in that it gives folks down here a nice break. They need a break. But up to the north, Chester, Winnsboro, the towns up to the north around Lancaster and Kershaw County, you've got the heavier rain now, and it continues up that way by Thursday right around 6 o'clock. Now Charlotte has to deal with it in Rock Hill as well. And then as we look at Thursday, Lexington, it's starting to wrap right back down towards Lexington. You can kind of see the arrows, how it's going in that counterclockwise fashion, right? Area of low pressure is right around Sumter right now at 10 in the morning, and then by 1 in the afternoon we've got more showers and gusty winds for the afternoon hours Thursday, and then by Thursday evening it's looking like it's starting to lift and it's out of here. I might even drop our chances of rain for Friday morning. Friday morning looking a little bit better at least, and into the afternoon. So as far as the tropical storm winds, that's not happening here in Columbia, not until Thursday. So here it is Wednesday night, and as we head towards Thursday, that's when we see our about 10 to 20% chance of seeing those tropical storm winds. It really looks like down to the south, that's the possibility of getting around 39 miles per hour or higher for us. So why is it not moving around? We've got the jet stream way up to the north. It's a zonal pattern is what we call this, and there's not really there is a huge ridge over to the west, but there's no real trough, and we've got this low that's just kind of just stuck. So here it is this afternoon. Tomorrow afternoon, the jet stream's still up to the north. The one thing that helps scoop this thing up and move it out of here comes by Thursday night. It's this trough right here. It's going to dig down to the south and start to guide it northward for Friday and into Saturday. So that's the good news there. Now let's take a look at your 10-day forecast. 100% chance of rain Wednesday and Thursday. Friday, I might be drawing that down. That was for the early morning anyway. And hopefully, let's cross our fingers, it's done by early morning hours or late Thursday, actually. Then Saturday and Sunday, it's actually looking like a pretty nice weekend. I'm going to toss it back to you guys at the desk, Greg and Judy.
Come back to you and Vaughn as needed to keep us updated on any watches and warnings that come up while we are on air this evening. And of course, anytime we need to be on air, especially if there are any serious threats to life or safety, we will certainly let you know. Greg, I think the First Alert Weather Team has done such a great job helping us to understand the risk of this storm. Right. And it's such a great reminder that every storm has different characteristics, right? As Adam was pointing out, not every storm comes in with the fury of wind and the threat of, high threat of tornadoes. Sometimes it's just a lot of rain, and it can cause so many other complications, from roadways giving away to power outages and other issues that can really be a safety concern.
Indeed, and also reminding us that a lot of times the most lethal part of a storm is the flooding that comes with it, not necessarily the winds. Although Adam did a great job just in that last forecast telling us what are the forecasted winds in this event, telling us when we can expect tropical storm type winds. And that plays into power outages, something that we're watching very closely, because not only is it the wind necessarily, but that rain can definitely soften up the ground where even slight gusts can take down power poles. Let's get the very latest from Billie Jean Shaw, who's taking a look at the power outages right now for us. Billie Jean, which areas are we seeing the most power outages at this time?
Good evening, Greg and Judy. I want to give you an overview of how South Carolina just looks right now due to Tropical Storm Debby. We're using poweroutage.us. With this map, the colors are important. Anything you really see in the blue, not really a concern, but anytime we start getting to the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and any of those shades, that is when you know there is a significant loss of power. I'm going to take you to Colleton County right now. That is the only county that is yellow on the map right now. Over 2,000 power outages. If you take a look here, I'll try to zoom in for you a little bit so you can see it better. Close to 11% of people in the county are without power there. If I take you back out to the map, let's see what's happening in Orangeburg. We know there is obviously concern there about power outages and the strong winds and the rain there, but right now only 5 customers without power. So it really gives you context to some of the results that we're seeing. Also taking you now to Richland County, we actually have about 1,400 people without power. So that just gives you some context as to what we're seeing right now. It's really in the low country where we are seeing the most outages at this very moment. But as we know, that could change with the incoming rain and wind. To also just give you an idea of how powerful Tropical Storm Debby can be in the aftermath, I actually want to show you what's happening in Florida. If you take an overview, look at the overview of the map of the country, there we go. You go to Florida, you see it's orange there. That is because close to 50,000 people are without power. There we go. Really, when you look here in the Big Bend area of Florida, that is where we are seeing the most outages, but a total of close to 78,000 people there are still without power. So we will, of course, continue to keep you updated with what's happening right here in our state, specifically the Midlands, and as we are continuing to watch the Low Country as well. But if you are dealing with power outages, there are specific numbers that you can call. This map breaks down the provider in our state. So there is information on their website and numbers you need to call. Just want to remind folks, when you are dealing with the power outage, you do not want to call 911. That is, you want to keep that line open for life or death emergencies. But there are numbers that you can call with your respective provider in order to report those outages. Judy, Greg?
Jane, thank you so much. You know, we were talking about the potential threats of this storm. While the tornado risk is low for our area here in the Midlands, there's already been at least one possible sighting of a tornado. You know, the emergency officials on the ground, they're pretty good indicators, and
Yes.
they're convinced what they saw was a tornado, but obviously we'll have to wait for the landscape to clear, so to speak, so that the official weather teams can get out and evaluate it. But it did some serious damage.
Yes, some of the video that was that's circulating on social media last night showed some of the damage left behind by this storm that could potentially be a tornado. Emily Johnson with our sister station WCSC was on the scene there and gives us a look.
Here on Edisto Beach, the winds and rains have been very severe, with you can see the waves almost all the way up to the sand dunes, and that's from last night into today with this tropical storm. And we've been looking at rain most likely with this storm, but you can see how high these waves really still are continuing to be here out on Edisto Beach. Now, Colleton County Sheriff's Office reported a tornado had touched down around 10 o'clock last night. Now, that has not yet been confirmed by the National Weather Service, but you can see the damage on homes right here alongside the beach, with their roofs off, major panels of siding, and just really bad devastation alongside many homes and businesses here on Edisto. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on this storm and how it's affecting the locals here on the beach. Reporting on Edisto Beach, Emily Johnson.
Yeah, so you could see some of the damage there to at least one of those beach houses. And I tell you, when that storm is kicking off potential tornadoes, a lot of times those buildings really don't have much of a chance. You
Right.
see the damage that can happen, and it happens so quickly too, especially in a tropical system. Tornadoes can spin off awfully quick, but again, as you mentioned, National Weather Service will be on the scene to sort it out, to figure out exactly what happened there.
Yeah, we'll certainly keep you updated. Sometimes it can be those straight line winds,
Yeah.
you know, and not necessarily a tornado. So we'll get the official declaration from them soon, but we certainly want to keep you updated as we learn about damage in the area. Thankfully, at this point, we have not heard about any serious injuries, so we hope that it'll stay that way throughout the duration of this storm. Another issue that a lot of people are dealing with, clearing storm debris. In the emergency operations briefing that was held earlier today, we heard different agencies, SCDOT, the Department of Public Safety, and others talk about the work that they did over the weekend to try and clear storm drains in other areas, but they've got crews mobilized to respond when needed. We get more on that from now Abby Walton in Charleston.
South Carolina Department of Transportation crews will be outside all day and all night, sucking debris out of storm drains just like this one to alleviate some of the flooding here out on the roadways.
When we have rain like this, we get leaves, limbs, things like that get into the drainage system. And so what they're doing is they're taking their tools and scooping that stuff out so that the water can move freely through the drains.
From removing dirt from the drains to moving out the trash, SCDOT Media Relations Manager Hannah Robinson says this debris removing process helps the floodwater move freely throughout the drains.
I mean, it gets into so these are box culverts you see behind me. It just slides into those and it gets clogged up. A lot of crews from different areas of the state that come down and help out the Charleston crew.
She says they have around 2,300 workers from SCDOT who will be out cleaning these drains until the tropical storm has passed. Reporting in North Charleston, Abby Walton with Live 5 News.
All right, thanks to Abby and our crews all around the region, keeping us up to date on the latest on the storm conditions as we track Debby. You know, we talk about flooding in different areas, Greg. It's just, you know, there's so many areas that are prone to flooding. For
Yes.
example, here in Columbia, we always check on the 5 Points area, over in Rosewood, the Shandon neighborhood, because traditionally, anytime we get a heavy amount of rain, let alone, you know, downpours for days at a time, we know that those areas and those businesses, those homes are going to have some issues. But in this particular case, state emergency officials have warned us that there are going to be some areas that typically don't flood, that are not considered to be prone to flooding, that may be impacted this time around.
Yeah, some areas that perhaps have never even seen flooding before. That's the case at least down in Savannah. One neighborhood down there dealing with flooding. They had never seen it before, and so now really the race is on to figure out how to deal with this water that's just piled up. Let's get a report from our crew with WTOC, our sister station there.
I didn't think it was going to get this deep at first because they supposedly had fixed the problem by putting in that new drain up here on this frontage road.
And this is something that's happened before, but not this bad.
Will Alt and Jeremy Boyette have lived on this street for some time. The flooding from Debby, they say, started as water creeping in slowly. Some are better off than others now, as water enters many of the homes on this street.
The water in his living room is ankle deep right now, and the house is straight down. I know they're underwater as well inside.
Now this street, believe it or not, is not in a flood zone, according to FEMA. Many of the residents telling me they don't have flood insurance either.
It's just not draining. Now it has dropped a little. It's receding, but again, I guess we're in the eye of the storm right now. So
The bugs actually hit bugs, rodents, frogs. All the animals are going indoors. So like I said, you know, our garage was full last night.
The City of Pooler's Public Works Department tells me this is unprecedented flooding and not the norm. They went on to say there's only so much that the drainage can handle and that cities can design for.
I'd like to see them, you know, send a team in and find out exactly what's not happening. I mean, we know what's happening, but why is it happening?
The city also says 2 lagoons near the neighborhood, as well as the street drains, all funnel into the canals behind this street, which contributes to the heavy flooding in the area.
All right, well, meanwhile, if you have any questions about Tropical Storm Debby, because certainly there are a lot of them as the storm continues to work its way through, and it's going to be a multi-day event, there is a toll-free hotline that you can dial, 1-866 246-0133. Operators with the state's public information phone system, available 24 hours per day, just as long as needed. They'll answer all of your questions. Of course, if you're in a dangerous situation, you may want to call your first responders. Of course, if it's a situation where the rain is especially heavy or the storm is at its height, sometimes, you know, it may take a while for first responders to get there, but either way, this is a hotline that you can call to get any sort of information, especially ahead of the worst of the weather. Again, that number there on your screen.
Absolutely. We also want to be sure to give you an update. A lot of you have been calling the newsroom and reaching out via social media, wondering if we've received any update from local school districts. Richland 2 has put out information saying that their schools will open on a 1-hour delay tomorrow, August 7th. As a reminder, the school times, because they've changed for the new school year, elementary schools will be 7:40, middle schools 8:20, high schools 8:50. So Richland 2 on a 1-hour delay tomorrow. We'll keep you updated throughout the evening here on WIS. We'll be on WIS TV at 6 o'clock to get you the very latest on what to expect regarding Tropical Storm Debby. We'll have updates continuously on WISTV.com as we get new information from school districts and our reporters from around the state. Let's give you a look at Myrtle Beach. Certainly keeping all of our residents across South Carolina in our thoughts and prayers for safety as we weather this storm together, especially those of you along the coast. Keep it tuned right here to WIS News 10 to get your first alert about preparing for the storm.